Fighting games are something that I have only recently gotten into. Back when I was a wee lad, I never really liked fighting games, mainly because they were too violent and too hard. But after I was given the chance to give them a fair shake, I realized that they're not as bad as I thought they were. In fact, they're actually really fun. So, everyone's attempt for getting into a game like this is going to be different, and what works for me is not going to work for everyone. But here are just a few little things to help you get into the fighting game scene. First off, one thing you should know real quick: don't expect to learn everything all at once. And don't just listen to this video, because again, what works for me will not work for you. But one thing is definitely for sure: if you feel like you need to learn everything all at once, you're mistaken. You do not learn everything all at once. I'll tell you that right now. So do a few modes on the arcade versions of the game and just practice it. Now, as for what type of fighting game you should get into, because yes, there are different types, this is the first and most important thing. What interests you the most? We got three types. What I like to call anime slash teen based games. Think Skullgirls or Marvel vs. Capcom, where they're more over the top but slightly more complicated. We got your traditional fighting games, which are mostly motion inputs but have simplified mechanics. And finally, we have platformer fighters. Think of them like Super Smash Bros. Or Brawlhalla, where everything is simple, but the objective is much more difficult: knocking people off of the platform. Okay, now that you picked your fighting game, for me it's Mortal Kombat Street Fighter, so traditional. Next, you want to learn the mechanics. But despite what may be obvious, it should go without saying: Street Fighter does not play the same as Mortal Kombat, and vice versa. Smash Brothers doesn't play like Brawlhalla. And biggest of all, Skullgirls and Dragon Ball do not play the same either. Just pick one that you like, and then learn the mechanics. By that I mean go with a beginner-friendly character first. It doesn't even have to be a character you like, just a character you're... Just pick the basic, bland character and learn the mechanics. Go into training mode and learn how everything works. Oftentimes, fighting games will have a tutorial mode, which, yeah, it's not that amazing, but I don't recommend you skip it either. Learn at least the basics to help you understand the game's mechanics. For example, Street Fighter 6 has an amazing move where you can charge it up and throw it out. It gives you super armor, but it's easy to punish. And every character has it. Street Fighter V has the V trigger, which is basically an install that gives you more and more strength, but only for a limited time. Mortal Kombat 1 has the cameo system, which summons a second character, but only for a quick second. And Mortal Kombat 11 has customizable moves. Simple as that. Now, granted, it doesn't sound simple, but that's why you need to experiment with yourself. Find a game that you think looks and feels good, and then, with a mechanic that you like, and then try out that mechanic. Okay, now that we've done that, our next step is to pick a fighter. And to that I say experiment. Experiment with different characters. Don't just go with the one that looks cool. Go with the one you're the most comfortable with. And with that, you need to experiment with all the characters. Maybe there's a character that looks super cool, but his combos are very, very hard to pull off. And you get frustrated. You don't want to play that one. Or maybe there's a character who is very easy to play with, but is really bland. So you may not want to pick that one either. You want to pick a character who will challenge you, but one who you can realistically play. Now that you picked your fighter, there's one last thing to do. And that is to practice. That's the hard part right there. Once you pick your main, you have to learn how your main even works. Because you can't just jump into a battle and then expect to learn everything. You need to practice a little more. Try playing against the arcade ladder opponents or story mode. And if you do well enough, then try playing online for a little bit. It should be noted that playing online is a different experience than playing offline, because online opponents tend to have a bit of lag to them. Also, you're playing against real people. And if you just so happen to have a real person you can play with, then that's great. Play with them. Now, again, this is all stuff that works for me, and you can try it if you like, but you need to find what works for you. I personally like traditional fighting games, but you might like platforming fighter games, or maybe you like Skullgirls. I don't know. I don't know you that well. So find what works for you. That is your ultimate goal. Find what works for you. The final step is to look up how your character works on a fundamental level. Maybe even some Evo footage. I am kind of echoing what another person said, but I find that it's pretty helpful. Because you can learn how to do certain moves that you never thought were possible with Lil Mac. It's just really fun to learn all of these things. And that is the biggest step of them all. Have fun. If you're not having fun playing a game, you're not playing it right. That's all I will say. That's how I learned how to do a certain throw. Don't take everything too seriously, because it is a video game. If you ever go to tournament level, then still don't take it too seriously, because it is a sport, it is a video game. If you take it too seriously, it stops being fun. So, yeah. Those are just some simple steps to help you get into fighting games. Personally, I got into fighting games when I fought with my friends at an undisclosed location. I was always kicked in the butt when it comes to fighting games, but I never quit because I liked playing them. And that's the ultimate goal. If you find that fighting games are just not for you, then pick something else. No one's forcing you to play anything, and you shouldn't force yourself. I know this is a very different video from what I usually make. Again, I'm just experimenting. But I hope that this video helps you to learn that getting out of your comfort zone is a good thing. And maybe this will help you too get out of your comfort zone when it comes to games like this, or anything else in life. Anyway, I've been the Gamer Nerd, and thank you for watching this very experimental video.